Hello, students. The most important component of a democracy are the elections. And today we are going to study the same. Chapter 4 Elections. Meaning of elections. What do you mean by elections? See, democracy is a form of a government in which the people have a say in who should hold power and how the power should be used. In a democracy, citizens they choose or elect their representatives either directly or indirectly to run the country. Directly in the way of general elections by electing the party or the candidates who we wish to represent us, or indirectly where the president is elected or the members of the Rajya Sabha are elected. These are indirect elections. Elections to the Lok Sabha, elections to the Vidhan Sabha are direct elections. Elections for MLA, MLCs, they are direct elections. But elections for the Rajya Sabha and election of the president and the vice president, the speaker, these are indirect elections. So, election is a procedure whereby persons are chosen by voting to represent the voters for running the government. Generally, there is a contest between different candidates for the same position. Thus, in the elections, there are winners and losers. In today's modern societies, elections are fought on party lines. A political party is a group of people holding similar views or beliefs. Any political party or a combination of parties getting the largest number of votes from the government, they form the government. Now, as I was telling you earlier, we have different kinds of elections, direct elections and indirect elections. In the direct elections, people of India directly elect their representatives to the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies. The members of the state legislative assembly are known as MLAs. They are directly elected by the people of the state. The members of the Lok Sabha are known as the members of parliament. We can say MP or members of the Lok Sabha. Under the existing political system, elections are held on party lines. Party lines means either we are voting for the Congress, we are voting for the Shiv Sena, we are voting for the MNC, we are voting for the BJP, so forth and so on. The party or a combination of parties having the largest number of legislators elect the leaders from amongst themselves, who is made the chief minister or the prime minister as the case may be. So if there's a clear majority for a single party, the single party can form the government. Or if there is a coalition where the single party cannot get sufficient vote, it collates with the like-minded parties who have similar mindset, who have similar party agenda. They come together and together they form a government. Either they plan together, they form a coalition together like NDA and UPA. These are two big coalitions that we see in our country. So either the candidate who wants to be a prime minister is chosen from the party which has the maximum seat, a clear majority, or they might have a coalition government. Indirect elections. In the indirect elections, India has two types of legislatures, both at the union and at the state level. At the state level, only some states have the second house called Vidhan Parishad. Like in the Lok Sabha, in the parliament we have the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha at the central government. But in state governments, only few states have both the houses, the lower house and the upper house. The upper house in the state government is called as the Vidhan Parishad. The legislative council or the upper house. At the union level, the upper house is known as the Rajya Sabha, which is the permanent house. The election to both houses at the state and the union level is indirect. For the Rajya Sabha also it is indirect, and for the Vidhan Parishad also it is indirect. For the Lok Sabha it is direct election. For the state government it is direct election. So the election to both the houses at the state and the union level is indirect. That is, the representatives are not directly elected by the people. The elected representatives of the people elect the members of the upper house both at the center as well as at the state level. So in the center, like in the Rajya Sabha, members from each states are represented in the Rajya Sabha in an indirect way. In the case of the Legislative Council, members are elected by members of the Legislative Assembly from amongst persons who are not the members of the Legislative Assembly. The Rajya Sabha consists of not more than 250 members. Out of these, 238 members are elected by the elected members of the Legislative Assembly of each state. The remaining 12 members are nominated by the President from among persons having special knowledge or practical experience in matters such as literature, science, art, and social service. I think you all are aware that Sachin Tendulkar is the member of the Rajya Sabha because he has special experience in sports, in cricket. He's a master cricketer, master blaster. So 12 members like Sachin Tendulkar belonging to different fields are nominated by the President to the Rajya Sabha. Election of the President and the Vice President of India. This is the second kind of indirect election. In both these cases, the elections are indirect. In which cases? In the election of the President and in the election of the Vice President. The President of India is elected indirectly by the manner of an electoral college consisting of the elected members of both the houses of Parliament and the elected members of the legislative assemblies of the state, including National Capital Territory of Delhi and the Union Territories of Pondicherry. So when the elections of the President is done, the election is done in an indirect way, meaning to say that the electoral college, the process of election for the President is done through the electoral college. Now what is this electoral college? The electoral college consists of all the members of the state government and all the members of the central government, including the state capital Delhi and one union territory, that is Pondicherry. So these states together, they vote for the President and the Vice President. The election takes place in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of a single transferable vote. Now what do you mean by proportional representation? It depends on the size of the population of that particular state. Goa has a very small size of population, so the proportional representation would be, say for one MLA, the voting capacity would be 2 votes. But for Maharashtra, it will be 40 votes. Maharashtra is a bigger state than Goa. So Maharashtra will have 40 votes. And Goa will have only 2 votes. Arunachal Pradesh will have a 2 vote. Like the President, the election of the Vice President is also indirect. The Vice President is elected by members of both houses of the Parliament. In this election, the state legislatures do not take part. The only difference between the election of the President and the Vice President, that in the President's case, the electoral college consists of members of the central government as well as the state government. Whereas in the election of the Vice President, the state legislature do not take part. Only the central government takes part in the election. So in case differentiate between the election of the President and the Vice President, this question is asked to you The difference would be in the elections for the president, the electoral college is composed of members of both the House of the Parliament, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and members of the Legislative Assembly of the states and capital Delhi and the Union Territory Pondicherry. Whereas for the Vice President, only the members of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, they elect the Vice President. General elections. Now, what are general elections? The elections held to elect the members of the Lok Sabha after expiry of the normal term of 5 years is called as the general elections. So, general elections are generally held once in 5 years. After every 5 years, there will be a general election. When one government completes its term, each government has a term of 5 years. So after the next 5 years, as soon as the government the time for the tenure for the government is about to get over, a fresh general election is declared for the coming 5 years. Elections to some state legislative assemblies may be held along with the parliamentary elections. That is to cut short the expenses. At the same time, they will have two elections: election for the central government and election for the state government. Earlier, up to 1957, simultaneous elections were held for both the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies. However, on account of early dismissal and mid-term elections, the two gradually separated. So earlier it was done that both election for the state government and the central government were done together. But sometimes the government, they don't complete the entire 5-year term. Because of no confidence motion, the government may dissolve, or because the prime minister may resign, the government will dissolve. The chief minister resigns, the government dissolves. So in this way, the elections for both the state government and the central government, they got segregated, they got separated. Now, what is called the mid-term election, the second type of election after general election, is mid-term election. In case a government is dissolved mid-term, a fresh election is held. That is called as the mid-term election. So the mid-term election is held when a state legislative assembly or the Lok Sabha is dissolved before the completion of its full term, that is the 5 years term. The new house will normally have a full 5-year term. This election is called mid-term elections. Suppose a government is dissolved after completing 3.5 years. So when a mid-term election is held, so the new government which comes to power will have a 5-year term. Normally that's the case. They will ask that government to complete the 5-year term unless until even this government is dissolved mid-term. Okay, now the third type of election is by-elections. By-election is held when one or two members, they either because of some reason they pass away, they die, or they resign in between, they leave in between. So that is called as by-elections. When a seat is held by any member of the Legislative Assembly in the center or state falls vacant on account of death, on account of resignation of the member before the completion of his or her term. So to fill up this vacancy, the election which is held is called as by-election. The person so elected remains the member for the unexpired term of the house. Okay, so if any MLA or MLC, he passes away in between this term, so a new election will be held and this person will hold office only for the remaining portion of the time. For example, if an MLA, he was in office for 4 years, 4 out of 5 years, so a midterm election is held and the person who is elected will be the member only for 1 year, the remaining 1 year. Election Commission. Election is the best way by which representatives of the people can be sent to the legislatures. Do you all agree with this or no? है ना? So India being a federal country, makes provisions for holding elections both for the central and the state legislature. Now, what do you understand by federal government? A federal form of a government is where there are two tiers of the government. The Lok Sabha Rajya Sabha is one tier, that is the central government, and the state government. Okay, at least two tiers. We have three tiers. We have a local self-government also. We have a local government known as here it is known as the Nagpur Municipal Corporation. So, India is a federal setup. So, election is the best way by which representatives of the people can be sent to the legislatures. India, being a federal country, makes provision for holding elections both for the central and the state legislature. Hence, elections need to be free and fair with wide participation. Since we are electing our representatives, the election should be free and fair. There should not be any partiality. In the last few years, we have been hearing about the voting machine being hacked. It is not proved, but people are blaming the government that the government is using government machinery. Using of government machinery means you try to propagate your own party, your own achievements using the television media. For example, you will use the Doordarshan, the government media. You will use you'll broadcast your achievements on the radio by your own talks or canvassing about your own self. You can do that, but you cannot do that when the elections are being held during the time period of the elections. So who keeps a check on all these things, whether the government is free and fair? Otherwise, what will happen? Only one party will be winning the elections every year. There will be no second party coming up. Like for so many years, the Congress was ruling India. Then in between came the Bharatiya Janata Party. Then came the Janata Party, the Bharatiya Janata Party. Okay. So we can say that at least in India, the elections were held free and fair. So, hence, elections need to be free and fair with the wide participation, keeping in view the great impact and significance of the elections. The Constitution has made detailed provisions for the free and fair conduct of elections in Part 15, Article 324 to 329. Okay. Now, I was talking about the Election Commission. So, how is the Election Commission, what is the composition of the Election Commission? According to Article 324, Clause 1 to 6, Article 324, Clause 1 to 6 deals with the composition of the Election Commission and other related issues. The Chief Election Commissioner, that is the CEC, stands at the top of the hierarchy of the Election Commission. That means he is the boss of everyone, the Chief Election Commissioner. The Election Commission consists of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. All these people have the same power, but one of them has to take the responsibility. So he is called as the Chief Election Commissioner. Okay. From 1950 to 1989, the Election Commission was a single member constitutional body. In 1989, the Election Commission was made a multi-member body. Two more commissioners were appointed and the Chief Election Commissioner was designated as the chairman of the commission. Thus, at present the Election Commission consists of 3 members. समझ गया? Is it clear? The Chief Election Commissioner, the CEC, and the other commissioners are appointed by the President of India. So who appoints the Chief Election Commissioner or the Election Commissioner of the Election Commission? It is the President appoints them because he has to be a neutral person. This is done at the behest of the Prime Minister as per Article 74. The Regional Election Commissioner are also appointed by the President in consultation with the Election Commission. Okay, so indirectly actually it is the Prime Minister who suggests to the President. So here malfunctions can be done if it needs to be done. If the Prime Minister feels that apna admi hona chahiye, so he will tell the President to do that. So the President actually is just a nominal head. He has to follow the instructions of the Prime Minister. Okay, so the remaining portion has been excluded for this year, like term of office of the commissions, conditions of services. All these have been deleted for this year's syllabus. So we will pause here. So we'll take a break over here and we'll continue our classes according to the timetable that we follow. So this is Tyrone wishing all the very best. Stay at home, stay safe. God bless you all.